Hey guys, Cauliflower Productions here, and today I'm going to be remaking an old video I made. Since I've gotten somewhat better at making videos since then, I figured, and my opinions have changed, I figured, hey, why don't I make a remake? I would explain what I'm doing. It's in the title, so I'm not gonna. Psych, I am. Okay. So I'm going to be going over my top 10 least favorite Thomas episodes. I already did this, but my opinions have changed. So, yeah, okay. And I even looked at some of my old opinions to remember at some of the episodes, and if I still think they're bad, it was hard rewatching, I swear. But anyway, let's start the list with number 10. The Spotless Record sucks, and I'm going to be going over why. Okay, this being on the list is more of a personal thing, but it seems a bit more forced and a terrible way to introduce Arthur to the show. Arthur is actually one of my favorite characters, but let's get on with it. So let's explain why I hate this episode so much and why it earned a spot on this list. So basically, an engine that's never came to, the railway, just never been in trouble, comes to the railway. So Topham specifically mentions that because Thomas is a little idiot and he's always gotten in trouble. Of course, that's never implied, but that's always how I took it. He's trying to make Thomas like a better engine, but all it does is make Thomas jealous, and he ends up tricking Arthur into this happening. Yay! You might be like, Thomas is unlikable in a lot of episodes. How is this any different? How is this any different? Okay, so basically, throughout the whole episode, Arthur is tricked by Thomas. And the end was so corny, I want to rip my ears off, honestly. It doesn't even look like Thomas even meant it. And the way Arthur just accepts it didn't feel even genuine. It's honestly a corny line at the end, honestly. And yeah, I remember I made a poll on the Thomas Wiki saying, should Arthur have accepted his apology? I voted no, by the way. But yeah, Arthur is just put to shame by Thomas on his first day, and then this happens. Honestly, I wouldn't want this to drag on for all of Arthur's appearances, but to have Arthur a bit torn up at Thomas at the end would have been nice, but whatever. It is what it is, I guess. Counting on Nia is just another boring episode, honestly. All it is just Nia not, knowing her numbers, and Annie and Clarabelle, trying to, teach her numbers. If this had gone out through the whole show, it would have been amazing, because there's a lot of criticisms going to Nia, saying that she's a Mary Sue, which has gotten her a lot of hate. But that isn't the main reason she's hated. Mainly it's that she replaced an original character so forcefully. I wonder what Audrey got to say about this. But, yeah. Nia is also depicted as a Mary Sue, meaning she basically has no flaws and everyone likes her. Well, this wasn't initially true, because when she first arrived, Gordon was a bit standoffish to her and whatever, I guess. Yeah, I guess. And now they're taking another part of that away from her, which granted should be taken, which is taken away from her. The one thing that stood her out that made her not a Mary Sue was fixed in one episode. I mean, I guess it'd be a pretty boring episode, just be Nia not knowing anything, and then it's that for the whole episode. So I don't like. Why is she pulling it in Clarabelle? I don't know, but she does. I think that's weird, but whatever. Number 8, I guess. Oh, Edward strikes out. Oh boy, this one sucks. Okay, now we're getting into really bad ones. Yeah. These 9 and 10 being on here were kind of drags. I just thought they were, I don't like them, but now they really get bad. So let's start. I didn't think I had this on my original ranking, but lo and behold, I did. The main problem I had with it there is that, and I quote, Edward is racist to cranes. That's cold. Yeah, I still stand by that. That's very bad. But, I mean, you could be like, he got hit by a crane once in season 7, but then you could be like, he also showed dislike to Harvey in season 6. And that was before he got hit by, like, Big Mickey in season 7. Okay. Whatever. Edward's angry face! Ah! And then Gordon, like, derails, to, like, the pipes Edward dropped, but Edward being a stubborn idiot. Okay. This is a personal beef for me. Edward in the Hit era was not the best character. Honestly. Also, Gordon is mean to the crane, too. Yippee! I hate you, Gordon. And I always will. But whatever. Eventually, they have to get Rocky. And then that all happens. But Edward of the Hit era, as I was saying, wasn't really that good. Honestly, Edward in the Hit era felt like a mixed bag. If he was like a non-lead role, he would be a voice of reason, like he's supposed to be. But if he isn't, then he's depicted as a frail old man that no one, like, except, like, Percy and Thomas respects. But even then, that personality in Hit era wasn't bad enough, so now they made him into a stubborn jerk who is so delusional in this episode. I'm glad CGI was able to fix Edward, unlike another one of my favorites. I'll get to his episodes later. I think you all know who I just name dropped, but if you didn't know, I'm talking about Toby, but, you know, you'll see him later. And number 8 is, there's a lot of tropes of this episode, and somehow I didn't have any of them in my old ranking. The Hit era really screwed over Skarloey, honestly. He went from, like, a wise engine to a whiny baby. Like, you think I'm gonna say wise, but I said whiny. Okay, that wasn't funny at all. That sucked. In my opinion, I'm sorry, but whatever. And also, this is CGI faces. Why are the black circles in his eyes? Why are his pupils so big compared to, like, Rheneas? Like, when he looks at Rheneas later in the episode, it's the worst there, personally. Like, look at Rheneas's. They're fine. They're normal sized. But Skarloey is, like, 84% of his eyebrow. It looks like he's on the verge of crying right now. Honestly, poor guy. Or maybe not poor guy, because he's an idiot in this episode. And then they play tug-of-war. Yay, I love this episode so much. And then Skarloey breaks free. Yay! And then he crashes, probably. Oh yeah, he does crash. Surprised we didn't have any Skarloey episodes on the original ranking. Also, Skarloey crashed into Duncan. That's funny. And then the train exploded in there. And then it falls over everyone. Duncan is actually mad at Skarloey. I mean, Duncan's kind of like mad at everything, but this time it actually makes sense. So, yeah, and then Skarloey, he crashes into Rusty and gets, like, their ice cream everywhere. Why were they carrying ice cream like that? Honestly. Why would you carry ice cream on a flatbed with a van that isn't closed off? If another engine crashed into you, ice cream could fly everywhere. What were they thinking? And then Skarloey loses control and he falls into an ocean, and then he has all this party stuff over him, and that was kind of funny, actually. I like that. And then, once Rheneas comes to help, Skarloey actually says something really wise.
I wanted to show you that I was the strongest, but all I've shown you is that I'm the silliest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, number 6. But we're not done with Skarloey yet. There's gonna be like one more. There's one more of Skarloey you're gonna have to deal with. There's one more of him. Skarloey Stormshrew. All I'm saying is, unlike the Bible, why'd you call it a Bible? Bible's religious. I don't think Thomas and Friends is religious. But, okay. Also, fun fact, Madge read the Bible once. Yeah, that was funny. But, yeah. Why'd you call it a Bible? Can you call it in, like, a guide or something? Like, come on. Why did you call it a Bible? Maybe, like, a dictionary would even make more sense. Why'd you call it a Bible? And none of the narrow gauge engines are depicted like this, except for Sir Handel, who is depicted very wrong. Hey, that guy kind of looks like Fergus. Makes me sad even more that Fergus wasn't shown more. Come on, guys. Hashtag justice for Fergus. We need to do it right. Basically, Skarloey is, like, afraid of a storm or whatever. And I think that was very stupid. Honestly. I mean, Renee and Peter Sanders, they're just chilling here. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. It's raining, man. And Skarloey is, like, scared, and I think that's annoying. They made him, like, CGI Henry in this era, honestly. Also, he has Renee's face here. Why? Why'd you do that? And then Renee's gets stuck, and Skarloey has to save him, but he's afraid, so he's skeptical. Hey, I've played these games before. Sorry about that. I said the wrong thing. That was okay. I've seen this episode trope before. Am I a joke to you? Oh, yep, sorry, yep. While editing, I realized I forgot number 5, like, whatever that episode was. So, this is after I finished the video, so I'm just gonna edit it in right now. On rewatch, Forever and Ever wasn't, like, as bad as I initially thought. Nothing really changed from what I once saw, except one thing. Gordon is the one concerned about Edward being gone. And honestly, this little dream sequence is pointless. It's weird. All the Rainbow Track have James running on there. Season 5 James, if you know what I mean. Sorry. That was just watch season 5 James. If you don't believe it, then watch the interview. And also, Gordon is kind of a bit more annoying than I remember. Also, it's the first way to introduce Neo to the show. Also, this little turntable crash, kind of stupid. Gordon's sulking. He asks who will pull the express. That causes Gordon to go, but he pulls him facing backwards. He falls into the turntable and he dies. Oh no! Cried Madge. Also, Thomas is just here watching this. Hello, Thomas. If you say so, Thomas. If you say so, Thomas. I am sorry. Sorry. The 4 episode probably would have been up here for being kind of a nothing episode. And also, out of spite, because I hate the ship of Flora and Toby. It doesn't even make sense. They've never even looked at each other. Ever. They've never said a single word to each other. Ever. It's insane. Definitely Thomas and Flora is a better ship. Okay, that was off topic. The episode's fine, I guess. Well, actually, it's not fine. It sucks. I hate it so much. Okay, now on to number 4. Okay, Middle Engine. Oh, God. Yeah, I didn't really watch this episode. I've heard a few people talk about it. But whatever. Then I watched it and discovered the agony of what this is. So let's start. You guys know Aaron and Bert? Yeah, they're pretty good characters, right? Yeah. Pretty menacing. What do they do to him here? They also put a train in front of Percy and, like, make fun of him for it because he, like, looks like he's some sort of ugly truck in the middle or something that looks like, and then for some reason they go on without eyesight. It's so weird. I mean, I guess maybe the driver can see. Okay, maybe he can't. James makes fun of him for it, and then he's like, okay, well, whatever, man. And then Percy gets them, like, out of his face at some point. And then, yeah, that was certainly something, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you think the episode's over? Well, no, we're not even a minute in, guys. Then Henry just shows up for no reason, and he pushes Percy onto the water. Oh, no! Henry, why do you do this? Why did you do that, man? You're so stupid, Henry. But whatever. Percy gets dumped like his coal. So Topham Hatt talks to Percy about it, but Percy says it's Arian Bert's fault for making him a middle engine. Guys, it's not their fault either. It's Henry's fault. He's the one that put him on the loader. Not Arian Bert's fault. Come on. I mean, ruining Arian Bert is like the least of the problem. Also really annoying. Every time Alec Baldwin says coal cars, it's the same clip of him saying coal cars. And, yeah, that didn't take me very short to notice. And because they just sound the same if you put them all next to each other. Like, if you play them all at the same time, it'll just sound like you're saying it once. So, yeah. Eventually, James ends up there. And they, like, make fun of him, too. And they, like, put some trucks in his face. But James, actually being smart for once, that's new, decides to, like, not move. But then Percy finds him, and then he takes him on the train. And then there's this little exchange at the end with this guy.
Learning, Percy replied. Learning what? Learning to be a middle engine, Percy laughed.
Boo. Oh boy. Christmas Tree Express time. If you had watched my original video, this was my least favorite episode at the time. As well, I still think it sucks. It is only third least favorite this time around. There are 2 episodes I found even more unbearable than this one. One of my main criticisms is that Toby is scared of going to Misty Island. Wait, why is he calling Rheneas? Like, where's he going? Why does Rheneas need to be on Misty Island? I don't know. Toby's been to Misty Island before, so him being scared. And I just felt like he was out of character in general at the time. But when I watched every other CGI appearance of Toby, I realized this is like his new personality, just being scared of everything. Congratulations, guys. You ruined yet another one of my favorite characters. Good job. Yay. Also, it's kind of weird, too. I don't really know what there is to say about it. It kind of... Also, you get to say the Locals again, I guess. I used to say I hate them, but now I don't really have an opinion on them anymore. I haven't really watched Misty Island, but all I know from it is that Thomas is a jerk to Diesel for no reason. Okay, I'm good now. Alright, number 2 now. This might be the worst we have ever seen Thomas in. Not as, like, mean, but this was a very big problem. Especially during Big World, Big Adventures, where a lot of characters changed. You know, like Henry did. Wait, that's probably for, like, all CGI. Who cares? But whatever. Then we have Thomas. What happens when you get Thomas even more annoying than he is? The answer is... Too loud Thomas. God, this episode sucks. Thomas is really annoying in this episode. This was a big problem in Big World, Big Adventures, and he definitely suffered the worst from it. And then, like, Thomas tries to, like, sing opera, pretty much. But it's so terrible. Thomas is, like, opera is so terrible, it like causes the old like balloon to pop or whatever. But Thomas is just kind of a terrible singer. I like that. I kind of carried that over to my series, which is probably not continuing. Percy and Friends is probably done now. But Reality Train Battle is still going. Yay! And I'm working on episode 4. So yeah. Thomas is terrible at opera singing, and that's like the whole plot of this episode. The only good thing to come out of it is a 4th wall break, and that's it. Okay. Time for number 1. Before I get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions for this video. I don't like these episodes. In fact, I hate some of them, but they just can't make it on a top 10 list. And I'll go over why they're bad briefly. Duck and the Slip Coaches. Basically, every practical sense of logic is lost in this episode. So basically, Duck tells the engines about these coaches he used to work with on his old railway that, like, slipped off and whatnot, so, like, the passengers could get off quicker or something. And Duck, like tells the engines about them. And then we get to see a little glimmer into the past to see how they work in universe and in real life. But there are some definitely problems. First of all, Sir Topham Hatt uses same-day shipping to get the coaches, like, in, like, one day. And they just so happen to be the ones that worked with Duck. The exact same ones. Why? Why is this? How do you get them that fast? And how do they? There are a lot of slip coaches in the world, probably. Not as much as you like probably think, because they're not normal coaches, but still. How do they happen to be the exact same 3 that Duck worked with? And how do you get them so fast? Ever since logic is lost, my brain hurts. Basically, any Thomas episode from season 13 would work, except for Playtime. I actually kind of like that one. The Lion of Sodor, Slippy Sodor, The Early Bird, Thomas and the Pigs, Time for a Story, Thomas and the Runaway Kite, Steamy Sodor, Split Splash Splosh, which admittedly isn't as bad as some of the others, and Buzzy Bees are all practically the same exact episode, just with different things. They all follow a problem that was started being raw and used in season 8. And that was 5 seasons ago. Fiery Flynn's a fairly bad episode. It didn't make the list, and I kind of forgot about it, admittedly, but still, it's not very good. Flynn especially is an actual idiot. I do like Dowager Hat. I like Dowager Hat in like every appearance. You're an abominable control! Now, we've reached an all-time low. The dumpster fire of Thomas and Friends. The Antichrist of Thomas and Friends. The thing that will just make you want to hurl. This episode, admittedly, I didn't know it was that bad, because at the time I hadn't seen it. And I thought the Christmas Tree Express was bad. This actually comes from the Brenner era, which might surprise you guys. The Brenner era was notably better than whatever this is. And yes, I'm here to tell you that this type of writing
messes up my skirt.
Is that why you didn't push me onto the siding? Because of your skirt?
Yes, sorry about that. I wish I had buffers in the front like you.
has an episode worse than this.
You're not on fire, Gordon?
Signals Crossed is by far the worst episode in starring Toby and the worst in the show. Toby is so dumb in this episode. He doesn't really know what a signal does and whatever, and he tries to crash into a bunch of trains. He doesn't know which signal is his, and a bunch of trains end up almost crashing into him. And then Toby almost gets turned into like a destroyed box at the end that was compacted. Wait, how did Gordon come from there if there's a set of buffers? Was he just like sitting there the whole time? That didn't make sense. Even his fat tender can't even sit there to make sure he was not even in camera. How's that possible? At least put him on at least get rid of those buffers. It doesn't make any physical sense. Yeah, I know I sound like a nerd right now, but whatever, I don't care. Eventually, Thomas knows something is up with Toby, and he goes to, like, confront him or whatever. Toby is, like, hiding behind some house or something. And Thomas, like, Toby's just sitting there, and Thomas spawns in all of a sudden. And Toby doesn't want to be noticed because he knows he looks like a fool out of himself. And then Thomas shows up, and then Toby says he isn't hiding, he's just counting bricks. Starts counting, I mean, I wonder how many there actually are. Probably like 74 or something. But then Thomas sees through this and says, "You're lying, idiot. Why you always lie?" And you guys remember that? And then Thomas is like, "Dude, of course, because you don't like Knapford Junction." What? This was never mentioned, ever. Toby has been going for Knapford Junction for God knows how long. He's been going there since, like, the first or second season. And that's remember, that was a Knapford station. Best Toby scene ever. Best James scene ever. I'll do in season 5, James. That's way too funny, sorry. But, yeah, this just ruins Toby for me. And that's why, in my opinion, for disgracing an amazing character and just being a lackluster episode in general, this takes the spot as my least favorite episode in Thomas.